Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest. Today is Monday Mail Day, MMD. It's fight week. We got easy work. Mayweather Promotions fighter Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis, going over to the UK to face his mandatory Liam Walsh. Gary Russell Jr. is going to be on the later portion of that Showtime telecast, along with my dude Andre Durrell. Shout out to the Durrell brothers. I put a thumb up next to the questions I'm going to answer. Picked a lot of them. Let's go. Let's get it in. Pause. First question, Fernando Vergara. If Canelo beats Triple G, do you think he'll get the props he deserves? Or do you think they'll use Triple G's last two fights as an excuse? Well, ever since I've done YouTube, one thing I have noticed, this is the age of the internet, right? So it's impossible to get everybody's favor and have everybody on your side. It's just, that's not how it works. I'll have a video, let's say it'll have 103 likes, and then somebody has to hit the dislike button. You know what I mean? Just to be different, just to tag it up. I mean, I don't care. I don't get paid off of likes or dislikes. But I'm just saying, you're never going to be able to appease or please everybody. So, without a doubt, people will say, make excuses. Some of them will say, oh, he waited too long, or Golovkin was 35, or he waited till KELL Brook or Danny Jacobs exposed him. But, I mean, you got to tune people out like that. If you're not going to be objective, because some of those same guys, they hedge their bets. They'll say pre-fight that Canelo's not good enough to beat Golovkin, and then if he in fact does beat him fair and square, then they'll say, oh, it's because Golovkin was getting old, or he waited too long, and this and that. So, you know what I mean? It happened with Mayweather Pacquiao. Some people who swore up and down Mayweather was getting knocked out, when the fight happened, all of a sudden it's watch it in slow motion and shoulder injury, and he waited too long. No, you shouldn't have picked Pacquiao to win. You shouldn't have picked Triple G to knock out Canelo if that's how you felt. So without a doubt, there'll always be hate, but I think real boxing fans know it's a good fight and will respect the rightful winner, be it Canelo or be it Triple G. I mean, this was what boxing needed, a fight like this, and we've been asking for it. Now we're getting it. So hopefully it's not anything too radical. The only time it's usually like that is if it's like a Bradley Pacquiao, where it's highly disputed, Ward Kovalev highly disputed on who won. That's the only thing that could get kind of gray, and I could see people not giving Canelo props. But if it's like one of his dominant performances, or he looks good and beats him fair and square, then give the man his just due. Next question is from James Lopez. Hey Ego, how does Canelo get through that jab of Triple G? Great question. Fantasy matchup, who would have won, Gerald McClellan, aka G-Man, or Triple G, in your opinion? Great vid. Can't wait till Canelo Triple G. 2017 is a great year of boxing. Most definitely. As far as the second part of your question, I don't know. Like, I'm not too big on the fantasy matchup. Of course, there's matches that I like. I wanted to see Mike Tyson versus David Tua. I have some. Juan Manuel Marquez and Eric Morales. You know what I mean? I have plenty of fights, but I don't know. I guess I don't spend too much time on it because there's no way of proving it. You know what I mean? I could say Hagler beats Triple G or Gerald McClellan, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just an opinion, and they'll never fight. You know what I mean? So we don't truly know. But I would probably favor McClellan, but Triple G's a good fighter too. So I mean, it's up for grabs. And the thing that makes it hard with the fantasy matchup is I think we've come a long way in terms of like sports science and medical science. What guys can do and how they can push their bodies now, it wasn't the same. Like, you know what I mean? That's where the term cab driver came from, because some guys like Ray Robinson's and guys like that, some of their opponents were actual guys who worked dead-end jobs or cab drivers or whatever, and then they would box on the side. So some people did things for different reasons. Now you can make a pretty penny in boxing, and you can make so much money where you don't necessarily have to have a full-time job and boxing to support your family. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Danny Garcia, you think Danny Garcia works at Home Depot? You know what I mean? In Philly? Like, hey guys. I'm like, no, of course you're not working there. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. The times are different, so that makes those questions a little bit harder because guys fought for different reasons back then, and they risked their lives and they put it all on the line for less money and stuff. So with the advancements in terms of training and what we know now and the human body, it always advances. So I don't know, it makes it hard. Like, oh, who would win in this fight, Roberto Duran or Floyd Mayweather? Floyd Mayweather is a multi-millionaire, right? And he has access to, you know what I mean, the cryo freezing, you know what I mean, the sub-zero cryo stations and stuff. Do you think Roberto Duran was in a cryo station back then? Like, no, you know what I mean? So there's different ways to recover your body and things like that. First part of your question, how does Canelo get through that jab of Triple G? And that's a great question. It's not how does he, is can he get through? You know what I mean? That for me, because Triple G he looks considerably taller than Canelo. Canelo's pretty short for middleweight, but he's a skilled guy, right? And I've seen Canelo use head movement. I've actually seen Canelo do everything. But the thing is, I haven't seen him always do it all in one fight, right? Like, what I mean by this, some of you go, what are you talking about? I'm going to just explain to you. I've seen Canelo use a very good jab, even his fight with Miguel Cotto, but he didn't necessarily use it throughout the whole 12 rounds. I've seen Canelo use head movement. He did it in the Austin Trout fight, but he didn't necessarily do it for 12 rounds. So when I say I've seen Canelo do everything, is I've seen him use different skills from a complete fighter. Good countering. He counters with the uppercut, which is very hard to do. I've seen him use defense. Obviously, his combination punches is a beautiful thing to watch. So I've seen him do a lot of things. I think he's going to have to dig back into the bag of tricks to get past that Triple G jab, because that jab is a strong punch, and it's a forgotten punch, and that's what's gotten Triple G out of some sticky situations. Like, I mean, realistically, that's what he was landing on Daniel Jacobs. He wasn't landing vicious combinations like non-stop or great crazy body work. I was at the fight in New York. He was landing, the most significant punch was his jab, and it was a great jab because Jacobs couldn't stay away from it. You know what I mean? Couldn't get away from it. But every time I see Triple G fight a puncher, a known puncher, known 80% knockout guy or better, David Lemieux and Danny Jacobs, use that jab. So I can imagine, why wouldn't you use that on Canelo, who you have to respect his power and he's a good fighter. So I think Canelo just has to use his defense and go back to that head movement that he showed in previous fights, and that you see him doing in training when he has the ropes up and stuff in the ring. Next question is from Smitty Smith. Hey Ego, you have a great channel, bro, and you do phenomenal work. Appreciate that. My question is, do you think all championship fights should be 15 rounds? I think that they lowered the rounds sometime in the early 80s because 3 people died battling these grueling rounds. A lot of championship fights would have different results if that was so. Again, great channel. And basically my generation has pretty much had to deal with the shorter rounds, the 12 rounds. And I don't think they should go back, because what's the point? Like, I agree with you. There's only a few people like Floyd Mayweather, Rigondeaux, Andre Ward, like Terence Crawford, like really skilled guys that I think would do great and have no problem with the 3 extra rounds. And that's just because they keep their bodies in shape, don't poison their bodies, at least that I don't know of, and stuff like that. But it'd be definitely difficult for other fighters, like even Canelo. Canelo fought Chavez Jr. and he was gassed out by rounds 5 and 6. Albeit he threw a lot of punches, he was still gassed, you know what I mean? When he was moving up, but I've seen him gassed before too. So I don't think most fighters would do better. If anything, I think most fighters would do worse with the extra 3 rounds. Plus, the studies have shown that when you get hit, like the blunt force trauma, and your brain begins to swell, and it's the shots that you take after that usually equate to people who later become vegetables or die in the hospital and stuff like that. So, I mean, if that's a way, if they've deemed through their research that keeping those extra 3 rounds out of it would improve the chances that that brain swelling doesn't happen, then I think they should just keep it like it is. Because those Pritchard Colon and Magomed Abdusalamov, those types of situations are never fun and never pretty, and it makes you feel sorry for the fighters and the families and stuff like that. So anything that they could do to prevent it would be really desired. You know what I mean? That's just what I think. So I don't think they should bring back the 15 rounders. Plus, like I said, I don't even know if a lot of people are disciplined to even fight at that pace. You know what I mean? So I don't think they would do better. So some fights would probably look ugly in the last 3 rounds unless they were in there with, like I said, one of those guys earlier that would be still fresh and possibly better, like the Mayweathers, the Wars, Crawford, Rigondeaux. Other than that, I think most people would probably look suspect in those last 3 rounds, and they would just be kind of fighting off heart. Next question, Tim E. Hey, what's up, Ego? Did you hear about Chavez Jr. getting set up and robbed in Vegas after the fight? The video that was going around of him partying at the MGM, he was supposedly drugged. What do you think about this? Something don't sound right. Yeah, I heard about it. I just haven't, like, drugged myself. Get it? Drugged myself. Get it? United, drugs, because he was roof. No, I'm just playing. I haven't made a video about it because I'm not really even anxious to talk about Chavez Jr. at the moment, to be honest. Just because after what I've seen, it wasn't a great performance. So I'd rather focus on a great year that we're having. That was like a very disappointing performance. Not even going for it, like, you know what I mean? It has nothing to do with going for Chavez, because I like Canelo. You know what I'm saying? I like Chavez Sr. I like Chavez Jr. But it's more so, it wasn't a good look. The first fight to crack over 1 million in a couple years or so, right? Aside from Mayweather Pacquiao. And that was the fight, which just didn't deliver. And I thought the performance, even if you were going to lose, you could have lost in a better fashion than that. You know what I mean? By putting up a fight. So I just haven't really been in the mood to cover, because Chavez Jr. seems like he has 1 foot out, 1 foot in. But I agree, something sounds fishy. It seemed weird. You were roofied and you had girls lifting up your shirt and surrounded you. The whole scene looked ugly. It didn't look like, especially if he has a girlfriend or wife or family or whatever, it didn't look like that's how you should be celebrating or kicking it after you lost an embarrassing 12-round shutout. So I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't know if they really robbed him, but that's why you have to watch who you keep in your circle and people around you, people filming you and setting you up. I'm sure it happens more often than we think. People acting cool. Oh yeah, and come back to the room and they're really scoping you. They're really, like, you know what I mean, gotta catch Ggg'S or something. You know what I mean? They're plotting. Next question, D-Boy 206. What's up, Ego? With 2017 being a good year for boxing, and it has been one of the best years in a long time, in my opinion, on that note, is there any must-have matches that still need to happen now that we're halfway through 2017? Keep making that hard work look easy, bro. Much love. Yeah, I mean, I could think of a ton of Wilder, Joshua. I really want to see that fight. I think Vasil Lomachenko, if he really does want to go up, get a fight in, like Terry Flanagan, and then fight Mikey Garcia, I would pay top dollar for Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko, right? So yeah, I could think of a bunch of fights, but we're also getting some of those fights. You know what I mean? Canelo versus Golovkin, that was one that was on my hit list. You was just another fight on the hit list. You know what I mean? That was one of the fights for me, and we're getting it. So I'm not gonna complain. Hopefully they just keep finishing as strong as 2017 has started, killing the UFC. Killing right now. Next question is from Marcus Ego. Is Floyd Mayweather in the gym training and sparring? Can you confirm this is true? Also, I heard he sparred an MMA fighter and stopped him. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt he stopped it. I heard that too, but I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I heard Floyd stops a lot of people in sparring. You know what I mean? Start going to that gut and stuff. Not even really old people too, like young people, much younger than him. So I wouldn't doubt it, especially an MMA fighter, because you might not be that great of a boxer possibly. You know what I mean? And only a couple of boxers or MMA fighters I could think of that have maybe even a slight chance to convert to boxing. I don't know if he's in the gym training, but I think Floyd's low key, so he looks in shape. You know what I mean? So obviously he's probably doing something or working out to some degree, and it's real. Floyd lets the world see what he wants them to see. You know what I mean? Like I've been in the Mayweather gym, and they got signs up like, "Hey, no unauthorized recording. You will be escorted out and not permitted back into the gym and stuff like that." So if he doesn't want the world to see him sparring or training, then we're probably not going to see it. So I don't know. He looks in shape. I seen him running with Gervonta Davis, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was. I heard he sparred Thomas Delorme, who's now claiming he's driving an Uber or something. So hopefully he gets that figured out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing some light training and stuff like that. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything specific, but then again, I haven't really reached out and researched it either. Marcus has another question. Hey, Ego, maybe you know, I heard that night of Joshua versus Klitschko fight that the WBA said they are granting the winner a voluntary defense before facing the mandatory, and this is why Ortiz is talking about suing. I'm not sure. I haven't heard that, so I can't confirm or deny that's true. But obviously, Luis King Kong Ortiz, he probably seen vulnerabilities he feels he can pick out from the Joshua fight with Klitschko, and he wants his shot, and you can't really be mad at him. Like, it's like you got a promotion at your job that you've worked, you did all the steps and passed all the tests, you got your employee review back, and that was good, and then you still don't get the raise. You know what I mean? If you've done the necessary steps and training and completed what you feel you had to do, then you should get what you're entitled to. So I don't know. I don't know if the WBA said they're going to offer him another mandatory voluntary defense or whatever before the mandatory, but I obviously see why Luis Ortiz would be upset, because he wants his shot and he's not getting any younger. Next question is from Chemo. Hey, Ego, I think I got a fun question. I was wondering if a new and very up-to-date fight night game was created, the fighters, do you think they would be most excited to play as? What fighters? And what fighter do you think would kind of be your go-to guy if you're really trying to win? LOL. Like, if you're playing against someone for a nice amount of money, love the channel, please keep grinding. That is a fun question. That's different. We need a fight night game, man. That's whack not having one. But I would probably play with Canelo. I mean, he's the face of boxing. He has very fast hands, so that's always fun for a video game, the guys that have the speed. And he has an action style. He throws a great variety of punches. So if they made a video game and really molded it after the fighters, I think Canelo would be a fun fighter to beat. And then, of course, I would want him to do some special code, or you pass a certain level and you can unlock characters like Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, like classic people. I think that would be dope too. But as far as the new school people, I would like to see them. I would probably use Canelo, to be honest. Or Wilder would be fun if you want a quick knockout. Triple G. There's a couple of people. If they really went in detail and got Caleb Plants and, I don't know, Terence Crawford, I would probably use. Basically, anybody who's on top right now. Tank Davis. Anybody who's like a champion. Errol Spence. Potential champion. You know what I mean? Guys like that. That's what I would be using. Like the guys who are actually doing well in their careers right now. Keith Thurman would be a fun character to play with, based on his style. Next question, Bryant Fluker. What's up, Ego? Love the channel. 2 questions. First, why are so many people using the Jacobs fight as an indication of what Canelo will do to Triple G? When Canelo and Jacobs are two completely different fighters, physically and stylistically. Second, do you think that Canelo can handle Triple G, the boxer, not the bully? People think Triple G will try to bully Canelo, leaving himself open for counters all night, but Triple G has shown that he knows what fighters deserve more respect than others. I think he boxes Canelo for the first half of the fight with the better, stronger jab and wears him down, knowing that Canelo does tend to tire a bit late. What do you think? Second part. Yeah, I mean, clearly with the amateur experience, 300 plus fights that Triple G has, he has some sense, because when he, like I said, when he fights a puncher, David Lemieux, Danny Jacobs, he fights totally different than when he's fighting a guy whose power he doesn't necessarily respect, Willie Monroe, or a guy maybe even like Kell Brook that he thinks can't hurt him. I think he relies on his chin, and he's like, man, I got a solid chin. Kell Brook moving up 2 divisions. I don't think he can hurt me enough to the point where he can get me out of there. You know what I'm saying? So he relies on that, and he'll push the pace even harder on guys like Ishida, guys, Gabe Rosado, stuff like that he really feels can't hurt him enough. So yeah, I think I think he'll try to come out smart, but it's up to Canelo to lure him into traps, set traps, stuff like that, counter him. First part of your question, I don't know. People, at the end of the day, I don't know. You can't really take what people say on the internet. I don't know where you're hearing this, like Canelo and Jacobs. But that's, a lot of people don't know shit about boxing. That's what it boils down to, because they always draw comparisons from 2 different fruits, apples and oranges, apples and watermelon. And they say, oh, because this person has success, then that means this person will have. It's not how it works, right? Because, like, I mean, you could do this with triangle theories. You could do this with realistically anything. You know what I mean? Like, you could look at, okay, how come Sergey Kovalev fought in his hometown in Russia, and he fought against Isaac Chilemba, who's rated, but he's not a world beater, right? A guy with losses, just never been stopped. And Kovalev didn't really look good in that fight. Yet he fights an Olympic gold medalist from America who is hard to look good against, and a proven, you know what I mean, he came through in the Super 6 and emerged the best, and he gave him the fight of his life, you know what I mean, toughest fight, one of his toughest fights of his career or whatever. So, I mean, those comparisons don't make sense, but people always do it. They say, oh, but this and that. I mean, it doesn't, every fighter is different. Sometimes people train harder because they know the threat level is real, right? So I fully expect Canelo and Golovkin to train their ass off for this particular fight. But you're right, Jacobs, I mean, I've met Jacobs and Canelo. Canelo's way shorter. Jacobs is tall. So just off that alone, it's different. They fight different levels of aggression, hand speed, foot speed is probably different. I don't think Canelo's foot speed is anywhere near as fast as Jacobs, because you've seen Jacobs using some movement, and he looked good in there, and he doesn't always do that. So totally different fights, and you got to just take it with a grain of salt, what you hear on the internet. Next question comes from Johnny Ray Lopez. Hey Ego, love the channel, is real. Thank you. Do you think King Kong Luis Ortiz will get his chance at a big name before he's past his better days? He's been grinding, but he's a little bit older, but I feel his style may help him stay in the running. Let me know your thought. Man, I hope he gets a shot, because at the end of the day, he's a talented fighter, he's a skilled fighter, and that's where these fighters work so hard, to move up the rankings. And you just want what's yours at the end of the day. Move up the rankings, do it the right way, and I would like to see it as a boxing fan, you know what I mean, more than anything. Anthony Joshua, Wilder, Joseph Parker's a champion. Those are all good fights, competitive fights. So I think he'll get a shot with somebody. I don't know. Maybe he has to take a GERALD Big Baby Miller or style, you know what I mean, a guy like that who's maybe not a champion. Kubrat Pulev, make some noise with that and then get the shot. I don't know, but hopefully he gets his shot. And I think it can and will happen. But he has to look to his management team to try to get it done too. Now he's with Al Heyman. Certainly a possibility. Next question, Courtney Douglas. Sup, Ego. Do you think Errol Spence and team should have went to the UK maybe a week or so ago to avoid jet lag and get used to the climate, since Bubu Andre didn't look like himself in his fight across the seas? Well, it's still, that fight, Tank Davis is fighting this week, you know what I mean? And I read that Errol Spence is going to try to come about 2 weeks early. So right now, from the point of this video, it's about 2 weeks away. The fight's not until 27th. So if he goes a week and a half, 2 weeks, he should be good. I mean, you don't have to live there. You know what I mean? It's not like he has to migrate there for 6 months, anything like that. So he should be good if he heads out this week, which I assume him and his team probably would. That's just my thoughts. So, and that's what he said too. Next question, no BS. Do you think Manny Pacquiao is ever going to fight another good fighter in his career? Oh, wow. I hope, man. I want to see him fight Terence Crawford or somebody that I've heard of, unlike Jeff Horn. I don't care how many seats are sold. It's like a Ponzi scheme. They're like milking the public in Australia. Obviously, Pacquiao is a big enough name. He's a legend. So they're trying to milk the consumer in Australia who have never had a chance to really see Pacquiao fight. And he's fighting against one of their countrymen. So, you know what I mean? People might show up for that reason. Just because it's in town and stuff. But I hope he fights someone. But the way things are going, I don't know. Like Julio said, but the way things are going, I don't know. You know what I mean? The fighting Jeff Horn, that's just like, wow. Jesse Vargas, Jeff Horn, Brandon Rios off a loss, moving up in weight. Chris Algieri fought Mayweather, but Mayweather's older than you, 40 now. You know what I'm saying? And you lost that fight embarrassingly. So, I don't know. They might just try to cash him out and kind of milk it until finally making that fight with like a Crawford. Next question, Enrico Shimada. Hey, Ego, always stay grinding. You know that. I got a question regarding the fact that HBO mostly and Showtime sometimes makes their boxing content only available in the States, like some parts of the 24/7 recently for Canelo and Chavez isn't available for the population in Europe. Why would they do this, and why would the fighter want it like that? I mean, I get that most of the people watching the event will probably be from the USA or Mexico, but there are still people out here who know about boxing and want to follow it, but can't due to stupid management. What are your thoughts? Now, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but if you're talking about a YouTube video, I don't think it's HBO. I think it's YouTube. And that's the thing. People don't understand. I don't know if I don't know where you're referring to. Is it Twitter? Is it you were trying to watch it on YouTube? But there's different copyright laws and there's different things like that. And YouTube doesn't want no parts of that, and they're real strict. So, like, let's say HBO in their song, they used a certain song or whatever that they even got the clearance to use or the rights. They might ban it from. It's just the way I know this as a YouTuber. It's just the way it is. Like, I even have videos up where there's it's a weigh-in or something, and there's background music, and I didn't get a copyright strike, but the content is, because that Pitbull song is playing in the background or whatever, the content is not available in certain regions. It's weird, but I don't think that's HBO doing that. But you have to give me more information as far as where you were prohibited from seeing it in the States. Next question, Jim Hustle. Ego, what do you like and dislike about running your YouTube channel? And I would like your insight on your decision to follow Cover Boxing. By the way, love all the content on boxing. There's not much I dislike. You got to be built for this. I mean, you get crazy comments, and I got people who literally like stalk me. You know what I mean? Like, they'll get blocked on something and make videos or like send me emails or whatever. Like, if they're not blocked on Facebook or Twitter, then they'll DM me on that. You know, I just got one the other day. Some guy was like, yeah, you suck, or just whatever. So, I mean, I don't care, because I don't stop my paycheck at the end of the month. So it's not much I dislike. I mean, what I do, I can tell you more things I like than dislike. I guess the only dislike is you're your own boss, you know what I mean? And that's actually what I like about it, is that I'm my own boss. It's, you know what I mean? It's just like someone who drives Uber. I make my own schedule, wake up when I want, enjoy life, get to travel gyms, get to see fighters, travel, eat good foods and different. So I don't really dislike anything like that. But it's not so much a dislike. It requires balance. So you don't want to go crazy and then like lose your mind and get. This job has a high chance of burnout, because unlike a regular job, like a 9-to-5 job, the job is going to automatically have built-in limits for the worker. You get me? Like, I used to work at Lowe's, and California state law says after 4 hours, in between like 4 hours and 6 hours or whatever, you got to take a lunch before your 6th hour. So they're going to make sure, because Lowe's will get fined if people aren't, and they can get sued, class action settlements and stuff, if people weren't taking their lunches or weren't being given a lunch. So they were real strict, like, oh, you got to take your lunch by this before your 6th hour, otherwise we can get fined or penalized or whatever for it, or sued in the future, things like that. So those built-in limitations, you had to take your lunch. You know what I mean? If you're helping a customer, you have to get a manager and then say, oh, hey, I got to take a lunch. Can you have someone take over for me, or you take over for me? Things like that. Other thing is, like, when the schedule's made, California state law, labor laws tell you how much you can work, right? You have to have 2 days off in most jobs, hourly jobs, where it's not like a salary. But with YouTube, boxing news might come in at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? There might be a fight that's up at 10 p.m. and some hot news, Canelo in the ring with Golovkin. You know what I mean? So you got to just kind of jump to it. So this job runs the high risk of burnout if you don't manage yourself. You don't continue doing the stuff you like doing outside of YouTube. You know what I mean? But that's really all I could think of in terms of dislikes. You just got to balance it. You got to balance it. And my decision to follow or cover boxing, the decision was not a decision I made, really. It was a decision the people made. You know what I mean? Like, when I first started this, I had a regular job and I was doing boxing. I've been a lifelong boxing fan, always into it, and I started doing it, and people were like, oh, talk about this, and then it just snowballed, and then it got to a point where I could do this, and I seen the power in it and the need for it, and I'm like, man, I could do some damage in this game. I know what I bring to the table, and I don't see certain things. I don't see certain people talking about this. I don't see certain people doing this, and I just kind of ran with it and stuck with it, being the persistent person that I am. Shout out to all my Aries who have that kind of headstrong mentality. And then that's why I'm here doing a Monday Mail Day. So it's really the people's champ, to be honest. But I mean, I enjoy what I do. Make my own schedule, eat good, and it's something I don't have someone telling me what to do, and like, it's no one else's directives. I like boxing, you know what I mean? I love the sport of boxing, right? Versus if you work at JCPenney's or something, it's not like you have a dedication to all these different perfumes that are out, you know what I mean? But if you work in the fragrance section, then you gotta slang whatever. You gotta try to get people to get a JCPenney's credit card. But now the mission statement is my own. This is my brand. Next question, Ali Diego 619. Broner versus Matisse, who wins? At this point, I would rock with Broner. They're both at, I guess, welterweight. Matisse looked good versus Emmanuel Taylor, but Broner looked good versus Emmanuel Taylor too. His fight was more competitive, but still, I think Broner's athletic. He would try to fight Matisse smart. Matisse, it looked like in the Emmanuel Taylor fight, his eye bothered him in this one small part. And Taylor, I don't really think is a true welterweight, nor do I think he has like the power or style that I thought would trouble or beat Matisse. So that was just kind of a get back on the right track, get you a win in the win column type of fight. But I don't really know many people that were picking Emmanuel Taylor to dethrone Matisse. You know what I mean? And if they were, it's probably because he quit in his last fight before that with Victor Posto. So maybe they're like, he's done. You know what I mean? But stylistically, if he was a fraction of the Matisse that we've seen throughout his career, you would have easily picked him. I picked Broner though. Like I said, if Maidana's just in general bigger, Broner jumped up 2 weight classes, had 1 fight, and Maidana didn't knock him out, then I don't know. I really don't know that Matisse would, because Matisse got knocked down by Danny Garcia at 40. He got knocked down by John Molina, a guy Broner dominated, and later lost to Terence Crawford, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think Matisse would have to respect Broner's power and speed. And like I said, Granados and Maidana and Porter, those guys at higher weights. Actually, the Granados was at a higher weight too. They changed it last minute. All those fights were at higher weights at 47, and none of those guys stopped Broner. You can say one of them knocked him down, but he even knocked Sean Porter down. So yeah, I mean, I would pick Broner. That's just my opinion. That's the skinny of it. Next question is Nomo for you. What's good, Ego? Got 2 questions for you. Let's go. I know Gennady has a really good jab, and everyone is wondering how Canelo will get past his jab. But what do you personally think about Canelo's jab? And what can he incorporate into his skill set to disable his jab? I guess you mean to disable Golovkin's jab. That's a good question. Second question. What do you think about Canelo standing up during breaks? Should Canelo sit down during breaks in between rounds during the Golovkin fight? I hope he doesn't stand up every round like in the Chavez fight, especially with a guy like Triple G. Second part of your question, real easy. I don't think he's going to do that. I think that was, I mean, he has the Mexican blood. It was Cinco de Mayo weekend. He doesn't seem to like Chavez Jr. And he doesn't, based on what they were saying, he was like, you're not knocking me out. I know that. You know what I mean? He was saying all that in the face-off. So I don't think he thought Chavez was at his level in the discipline category or in the skill category. So he took different chances in that fight. And I think that was more of a statement. Like, look, I ain't even tired. Even though he did get tired, he even admitted that after the fight. So I don't expect, I never seen him do that in any other fight. I think it was just kind of once and done for the moment in that particular fight. Like I said, he had a ton of Mexican Americans in the crowd, and it was Cinco de Mayo weekend. His blood was flowing, bad blood. Lot was riding on this fight, so he just made the decision to do that. But that would be stupid for him to do that versus Golovkin, and I don't think he's stupid. So that kind of answers your question. I think he just did that to kind of prove a point. And, you know what I mean? Chavez Jr. It's a boxing is psychological. If Chavez Jr. is getting pieced up, and then you look over in the opposite corner in between rounds, and this motherfucker's standing up, you'd be like, damn, he's not tired. So that's just a way to further discourage somebody. That's what I seen, and I think that's why he did that, because I never seen him do that in any other. He didn't do that with Floyd because he was losing the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't stand up between Floyd. He needed every breath he can get when Floyd was jabbing him to the stomach and the pit of the stomach and stuff like that. So I think it was just kind of a once and done. That's my opinion. Golovkin has a great jab. Canelo can't get past it. I mean, no one's invincible. That's what it boils down to. A lot of people, oh, this fighter Golovkin is gonna destroy, and people do all this and that. But these guys are mortals. These guys are regular humans. Golovkin has a good jab. Canelo's gonna have to work on getting past it. And the way to get past it is, I've always learned this in boxing. Whatever someone's doing to you, do that to them, but even more. If someone's tearing you up to the body, you even see people, good fighters a lot of times respond with that. Someone's like hitting them with good body shots, so they start going to their opponent's body, like how you like it. You know what I mean? So that's what you do. You don't give up because you're the shorter man and you're getting out jabbed at first, because maybe Golovkin's, this is just hypothetical, but if he's blasting you with the jab and then you're letting him and you're not fighting back, you know, you don't have a way around it, then he's gonna keep doing it. But if you start jabbing him back and he's getting his head popped back, then there's no, I mean, then now it's gonna be a battle of the jabs. See who can. I mean, watch Klitschko Joshua. They had jab offs in that fight. You know what I mean? Both about the same size, both big, both strong. You know what I mean? Who can out jab the other person? So that's what Canelo needs to do. Use his defense and do what. If Golovkin comes out with a pristine jab, then he needs to show his jab. Canelo has a good jab. Canelo has very good overall skill. I seen his jab in the Cotto fight. Just because you're a shorter man doesn't mean you can't jab. Anybody can jab. You can have Berto arms or whoever. The length of your arms obviously impacts how you get from point A to B, but you can still vary the jab. You can still time the jab. You can still measure distance and flick that jab and get it off. You know what I mean? Even if you're the shorter person. But a lot of people think that because I'm the shorter man, I don't have to jab, or it's not gonna work for me. But I mean, it's not gonna work if you go into it thinking like that. Because I've seen tall. There's no one rule. You know what I mean? I see tall fighters that don't fight tall. I've seen tall fighters that are super tall, but they're great inside fighters, and they'll start working the body. Whereas other tall fighters keep you at bay, like Klitschko, Lennox Lewis. They'll keep their distance on you. But some tall fighters, that's how they like. They like it on the inside. They want an inside rough fight. So Sean Porter, he's a perfect example of a short fighter who fights taller guys all the time. And he somehow, some way gets past whatever he needs to get past. And I actually have an interview, and I forgot to upload it, so I'm glad I remembered. But I interviewed Sean Porter, and I actually, how do you get past that? You know what I mean? And he just says, like, that's my style. So it doesn't matter, tall or short. That's not a predetermined outcome. You know what I'm saying? So Canelo just has to be smart. And like I said, If you're getting out jabbed, then start jabbing back. Next question, Kevin Faulkner. What up, Ego? Big fan and now supporter. I appreciate that. Do you believe Errol Spence has to hurt or stop Brook to win in Sheffield? No. In other words, do you believe Errol's fight skills outside of his power are so beyond Brook's that the UK judges can't possibly screw him in a 12-round decision? Just want your take on this, as this is one question I have on the fight outcome. KELL is no Mayweather, but he is possibly the slickest of the 147-pound champions. That makes a 12-round decision very interesting. Thanks for your perspective. There's a lot of people. I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, and I'm not a big I gotta see things unfold. Like, I don't like to put a black cloud over a situation like he's getting robbed. I don't really plan for robberies. I'm not dumb. I know they happen. I've seen them happen. Chavez Jr. versus Pernell Whitaker. You know what I mean? So I've seen robberies, but I don't go in with the mindset like, oh, this is gonna happen. You know what I mean? Because it's even like picking good fights. Sometimes you think a fight's gonna be great. Canelo Chavez Jr. I thought it'd be epic, and it wasn't. Joshua Klitschko, I wanted to see it, but I didn't think it'd be that damn good. So you know what I mean? You can't really foresee and plan everything. Some things are just preordained or destined. So I think Brook has to do enough to convincingly win. If it's a tight fight where it's just like, let's say Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko, the first 7 rounds. If the whole fight is like that, then it's going to be hard to get a decision because he's the champion, and that's how some people judge, like, oh, he's a champion, you got to do more and all this, and he's at home. So the crowd is naturally going to probably react more to when he gets his shot. So he just has to show enough separation to me to the point where people are like, okay, he won, or it was a close fight, but then he got a knockdown, or he almost had a 10-8 round because Brook was gassed out in that round on the ropes. That was a very good round. So I think he just has to take enough small stands, if not have something big happen, and he'll be straight. Next question, Boxingando Al 100. What do you think are the chances of a trilogy between Born Ready and Hand on Max? As I see it, it's not so far-fetched because I doubt there will be a knockout. Therefore, it will be a close, controversial fight. Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. Any fight that people have been clamoring for that makes a lot of money, you can never count out. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao. There's a chance they could rematch. I don't think it's needed, but there's so much money available there, it might happen. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. First fight was good. Conor tapped out, so you knew the second was coming. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a third fight. So, yeah. Especially if Golovkin beats Canelo, then Canelo has a chance at a rematch right there. And then, depending on the outcome, you know what I mean, it could be like Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. They could split the first 2 fights. So there's a variety of different outcomes, but I definitely see a trilogy could be one of them. You know what I mean, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales type. Especially if it's a good fight, makes a lot of money, and it's a war. Next question, Nathaniel Estrada. Ego, do you think a future opponent for Terence Crawford could one day be Errol Spence Jr.? I believe this question was asked after the Molina fight. How long do you see Crawford as a junior welterweight at this point? I think he's going to stay there as long as he can make that, and to the point where he can possibly unify and become undisputed. It doesn't make sense. A lot of people keep saying he should move up. I think that's foolish. Like, that to me, I think I even used this example before. Terence Crawford, he's already a couple. He fought Thomas Delorme, he fought Hank Lundy, he fought Victor Postal, he fought John Molina. You know what I mean? He's like 4 fights deep or so at 140, and he's only 1 fighter, well, 2 fighters. If he beats Felix Diaz, then that's 1 fighter, and then the second fighter if he beats Julius Sindongo. So if you beat Felix Diaz, you'll get credit as a good win, even though he's not a champion down there, but he's an Olympic gold medalist. So if you fight him and beat him, and then you just have to fight Julius Ndongo to become undisputed, that would be stupid to all of a sudden, oh, I'm going up to welterweight and I'm fight Danny Garcia or whoever else. I mean, that's money, that's quick money, but those fights aren't going anywhere. The welterweight division is stacked in general. So Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, those guys will probably be at welterweight for the next year or two at least. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense. This is an analogy I used before. That would be equivalent of being at a job for 4 or 5 years and you're about to get a big promotion and you quit the job and then go work somewhere else for like 30 cents more or something. You know, it doesn't make sense to that when you're that close to a promotion. And with that promotion, if you wait, you'll be making even more than this new job. Why start a new job, have to get reassociated, go through training? It doesn't make sense. Crawford is very dangerously close to being undisputed, which seems to be a forgotten thing in boxing. People don't care or whatever. Next question, IIG. Now that you have attended fights across the country, what are some of your favorite and least favorite venues to watch boxing? Honestly, I'm not even just saying that. I can't think of a least favorite. You know what I'm saying? Because the in terms of the venues when I go are lit. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying the venue, the atmosphere and stuff. I can say I went to certain venues and the fight wasn't good or something like that, but everywhere I went to Omaha twice, the Century Link Center was lit, especially when he fought Ray Beltran. I think it had even more people because I think when he fought John Molina, there was a big PBC card that night too. J-Rock and Charlo, Abner Mares, Cuellar, that was happening the same night. But I don't know. I haven't really went to a venue that I'm not just saying that either. I can't think of one that just stood out like this is whack. That's just my opinion. But favorites, I really enjoyed the Garden when I went to Daniel Jacobs versus Triple G. That was a great fight. The undercard co-main event was great. The atmosphere was great. And it was just, I'd never been, that was my first time in New York, you know what I mean? So I'd never been to the Garden. And that was just like history. Like, I'm at the Garden. I like the T-Mobile Arena when I went to watch Ward Kovalev, covered that fight. That was a great one. It's state of the art. It's big. That was a great fight too. The undercard wasn't that great on that one, but it looks like they're doing a better job in the rematch to making the undercard better. They got Luis Cuba Arias Rigondeaux, so it should be lit. So I can't think of a bad venue. Like I'm just like even when I go to the StubHub, it's outdoors. That's fun. I watched Victor Ortiz Berto. I've been to the Forum a couple of times. The Golovkin Wade, that was a very raucous, exciting crowd. So, I mean, it's boxing. It's more so the fights, but the crowds are pretty consistent. Some are just bigger than others. Next question, Luca Brasi. That's from a movie, I think. But would we ever see Crawford versus Mayweather? Bud beats Money? I doubt it. I very much doubt that. I mean, it doesn't, like, first of all, Crawford's on the same side as Pacquiao, so why would we be talking about Crawford Mayweather? You know what I'm saying? And then it just, Floyd is at the point, he's already accomplished stuff, gets no credit. He's on a different side of the fence than Bud, so I just highly doubt that fight would happen. Plus the styles, it'd be a great fight for boxing purists, but it's not going to be a great fight for, like, it wouldn't outdo, to me, I don't know if it would outdo even like a Canelo Golovkin because of the styles. You know what I mean? Two guys who are both technicians, and I don't know, styles make fights, so people would be more interested in the interesting style matchups. You know what I mean? And I think that would be two thinkers who are kind of doing the same. I think Mayweather versus Tim Bradley would be probably a better selling fight because Bradley can get rugged. And not saying Crawford can't, but he's just too. Some people are saying Crawford is the next Mayweather, so I think that the style is not enough of a contrast where that would make a lot of money. Therefore, if it's not going to make no crazy money, then Floyd's going to probably fight the Conor McGregors, and I could picture him fighting, like, let's say Danny Garcia knocked out Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? He might fight someone like that, but those will all be bigger fights. So I don't see it happening. Next question, random commenter, Ego. I got 2 questions. I got 2 answers. 1, what network is Takashi Miura versus Miguel Berchelt on? I believe HBO. I don't think it's the main event. I think it's the co-main event. or something to another card, but it should be HBO. 2, what do you think about David Lemieux versus Daniel Jacobs on the Canelo Golovkin card, Middleweight Madness? Now, you know I love that fight. Shout out to my dude, BK's own. He got his own day, Daniel Jacobs. I love the fight. I doubt the fight would happen on that card, but I would love it. I mean, that would make the card lit. But you got to understand from a business perspective, the logistics. And Jacobs believes, I just talked to him, Jacobs believes he beat Golovkin. I believe he beat Golovkin. Saul Canelo Alvarez had him winning versus Golovkin. Adrian Broner, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., all these people. So a lot of people thought he won. So bottom line, after a loss, but it was that type of loss where people were like, you know what? I think you really won that. He's going to want to get his just due in terms of payment, right? He fought Quillen. He fought the monster, the middleweight monster, Golovkin. So to fight David Lemieux, who's a decent sized name, he's not going to do it for short money. This is just me speaking on behalf. I can't picture it. Coming off of that, Lemieux got stopped by Golovkin. Danny Jacobs, not only did he not get stopped, some people thought he won. So to fight on the undercard, he would have to, humble himself and be like, okay, this is that fight. And then 2, he would probably want a good amount of money. Same thing with David Lemieux. David Lemieux's been knocking people out and bloodying people up ever since the Golovkin loss. Curtis Stevens is one of the best knockouts this year. He's going to want a good amount of money, especially to keep fighting this frequently. He fought in March. He just fought on the Chavez Jr. undercard. And then now to come back in September, he's going to want to fight. And especially a threat like Daniel Jacobs. So I don't know if the logistics would make sense, for one, in terms of how much money they would have. Because Golovkin and Canelo, I don't know what they're making, but it's going to be a lot. You know what I mean? At one point, they said the said offer was 15 milli for Golovkin. I don't know if that's changed. I don't know if it's increased. I don't know if it's decreased. I don't know. But it has to be something nice that he's content with. You know what I mean? So that, the salaries of them, plus Danny Jacobs, plus David Lemieux, I just don't know that they could afford that. You know what I mean? Like, if you put another action fight like Takashi Miura versus like the Miguel Berchelt, they're not going to require that much money. Like, in comparison to Danny Jacobs and Lemieux, known names, right? David Lemieux's best paycheck is probably way better than Takashi Miura's best paycheck. You know what I mean? Or even Miguel Berchelt. So I think it'll be more or less a fight like that. Guys that they can get for a bit cheaper. And then the other thing, aside from just the monetary logistics and financials, is the fact that Danny Jacobs is an Al Heyman advised fighter. Al Heyman got a lawsuit against Golden Boy, or Golden Boy had a lawsuit against Al Heyman that got dismissed. So I don't think that relationship is quite there where they're always going to make fights together. You know what I'm saying? Even though Chavez Jr. was an Al Heyman advised fighter and they made the Canelo fight. You know what I mean? And Canelo and Khan also has a different, unique situation because his dad at the time was promoting or managing him, plus Al Heyman, and he had different exclusions where Al Heyman's his advisor, but he has something in his contract where, because he was a star, you know what I mean, he'd been pretty much a big star, but he had something in his contract where he has the final say more so than other people. I think a lot of other Al Heyman fighters, they have it in their contract where Al Heyman could veto different decisions if he really felt like he wanted to or had to. But with Khan, it was a little bit different. So that's another major hurdle. Golden Boy working with Al Heyman to make that Lemieux Jacobs. So again, I would love it if they get it done. Bravo. That made the card even better. I just don't see it happening. Next question, Joseph Reyes. Hey, Ego, can you name some of your inspirations in life that made you drive forward? Also, where can I listen to them old Ego raps, if you don't mind me asking? I got most of them on my computer. I might have to start doing some more stuff with the rap. I had some ideas too, so maybe I'll start, digging in the crates and come out of retirement. Inspirations in life, wow, I have a lot, so many. My family, my mom, my dad, brother, sister, famous people. There's so many. Like I've probably what some people would consider weird. like Michael Jackson and Tupac, they were very inspirational because I just, obviously as entertainers and musicians, but they had a lot of quotes and stuff you can live by. So I really studied that, and like I took something away, like work ethic from both of those two. Bruce Lee is another huge one for me. Like I just like different people. I like people like Bruce Lee. He was not afraid. He was not fear. You see, you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You see, water can crash and water can burst. Be water, my friend. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Lee has swag. So on top of liking his movies, he was like a philosopher. You know what I mean? And he had very dope quotes and a way of thinking. And he wasn't gonna. They didn't want him teaching ancient Chinese secrets and martial arts forms to Guaylo. You know what I mean? To don't go too far, hun. It'll be over in 60 seconds. Y'all know about that Dragon the Bruce Lee story. I'm not going through this again, Bruce. Hey, Linda. Don't go too far, hun. It'll be over in 60 seconds. I'll beat any man in this womb in less than 60 seconds. Okay, I'll prove it. Y'all got me doing skits and monologues and stuff. But Bruce Lee, I have so many, you know what I mean? Jimi Hendrix, people that push the envelope. I really like that. I really respect that. You know what I mean? Bruce Lee's and the innovators and do different stuff. And they beat to the sound of their own drum. You know what I mean? So I have a ton of people like that. I could probably go on all day because they've all inspired me. You know what I mean? Teachers and stuff that I've had in the past, friends. Next question is Keith Mathis, one fresh to death. Ego, I saw the video when you said Canelo sparred Triple G around the Ryan Rhodes fight. But since then, I feel that Canelo has gotten levels better than that, clearly. For example, he was on a different level when he sparred Triple G around the time he fought Floyd. And now he's at a new level. But as far as Triple G, he haven't seen much improvement since throughout his career. And I could be wrong, but do you agree also the way Chavez Jr. fought? Should Chavez Jr. get a DNA test? Wow. Yeah, you're clowning him right there. But yeah, I mean, Canelo's younger, he's fresher, and he's developing. Golovkin is pretty much seem the same to me. Like he's a good fighter and he's not easy to beat, but he seems like he does the same, you know what I mean, same 1-2, same MO. And the thing I like about Canelo is more often than not, he's risen to the occasion when he wasn't always supposed to. And I've seen that from Golovkin, or from Canelo, more than I've seen from Golovkin. Let me explain so you guys understand what I'm talking about. For example, at the time, Austin Trout was perceived to be a big threat to Canelo. This was before the Floyd fight. Canelo had fought some older name guys like Carlos Baldomir, Shane Mosley, but they were like 40, 41 years old. And Josito Lopez, guys that doesn't really count. I mean, they count, but they don't count, if you know what I mean. They don't count because they're considerably smaller, and people knew that Josito Lopez would lose to Canelo, stuff like that. So in Austin Trout, he fought a guy that people thought could plague him, could beat him. And he knocked Trout down and he won. I don't agree with the open scoring. I thought that kind of shifted the tempo of the fight. But nonetheless, Canelo did his thing. And I don't even think that fight was controversial. You know what? I've only watched that fight one time. And it was when it was live. But I don't really remember feeling like Canelo. The only thing I didn't like was the open scoring, revealing to each corner, like, hey, Trout, you need to knock out the win. You're down 4 rounds. Because I thought that was bullshit, because Trout was very competitive with Canelo early, and then he needed to knock out the win. So I mean, he had to fight a lot more aggressive than he probably normally would, because they had the cards so far apart. But when I watched the fight, I didn't think the from what I seen in the rounds, I don't think the wrong person won. But some people act like that was super close. But again, maybe I have to watch it again. But anyway, fights like that, even the Lotta fight, that still showed me. So I had Lotta winning a round or two, but it was close. And he pulled the trigger more than he did when he was getting outboxed by Floyd. Cotto, some people thought Cotto would beat him. Chavez, some people thought Chavez would be way too big. He would gas out, stuff like that. So for me, I've seen Canelo develop, and kind of win fights where he probably wasn't supposed to win, or people thought he would just get shut out, or you know what I mean, things like that. Golovkin, most of his competition that I can remember, he was like easily supposed to Gabe Rosado, Matthew Macklin, Martin Murray. Martin Murray, he's solid, but he couldn't even beat Gabe Rosado. Like, I don't think he won that fight. I watched it. You know what I mean? Martin Murray, every time he tried for a title, he came up short. You could say, oh, but Sergio was a robbery. Felix Sturm, that wasn't a draw. But that's what they said it was. You know what I mean? And that's the outcome. So he never got to live like a champion, right? Willie Monroe, I mean, Golovkin wasn't supposed to lose to those. And then the guy he was supposed to knock out on paper, Daniel Jacobs, gave him all that he could handle. Or Kell Brook moving up 2 weight classes, exposed certain vulnerabilities. And the guys, people said, when I heard that fight was first announced, they were like, oh, bye-bye, Kell. Bye, Kell's getting murdered. And I don't consider that being murdered, what actually happened. He was getting hurt. You know, he got hurt in the first round. He was hurt towards the end. But he didn't even touch the canvas. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really think he got murdered. You know what I mean? You could say Golovkin won fair and square and all that, or he would have got knocked out, but he never touched the canvas. That's the whole point. So Chavez Jr. fight, that showed me a lot about Canelo. And just like some other fights like the Cotto, those were fights where people thought other guys had the chance to win. I haven't really seen that as much for Golovkin. I think the guy, his plan A usually works with guys. So against a fighter like Canelo, that plan A might not just work. You might have to dig in the crates and try something different. So we're going to find out September 16th. Next question, IDM for Christ. Ego, do you think the winner of the Canelo versus Golovkin fight should take the #1 pound-for-pound spot? They should be pound for pound for sure, but I don't know about #1. I don't know if I would take that from Ward Kovalev. You know what I mean? Because the body of work, how long they've been reigning. You know what I mean? Like I just said, with Golovkin, his best names are probably his last 2 fights. So certainly if he beats Canelo, that'll be great. But Canelo's already lost to Floyd Mayweather. And that's not a cop-out. That's a fact. That's an excuse. And some people think he arguably lost to Lada. So let's say Ward beats Kovalev. I don't think if he beats him fair and square and then it's like easier this time or whatever, I don't think that would Golovkin beating Canelo, who has a loss that is not disputable, versus Floyd. I don't think that would trump Ward beating Kovalev right here, plus the Super 6 and Chad Dawson and everything else he's done. Or if Kovalev knocks out Ward, right? Then you just beat an Olympic gold medalist and people said you beat him the first time. You know what I mean? So arguably you shouldn't even really have a loss. With Canelo, no one can say that he shouldn't have lost to Floyd unless your name is CJ Ross. So I would put him up on pound for pound. I just wouldn't put him #1. That's basically what it is. And I don't even do the pound for pound list, but y'all already know that. Next question, Avery Vice. Hey, Boxing Ego, great channel. Thank you. Do you think Team Pacquiao would seek a fight with Terence Crawford if he becomes the unified champion at 140? Also, do you think this fight would do more pay-per-view buys now or more after Crawford becomes unified champion? I think after. I mean, anytime there's more incentive, at least on paper, to make the fight, I think naturally it'll up the stakes and that incentive will throw on a couple more buys. So I would say after. And I really don't know what Pacquiao wants to do. He's fighting Jeff Horn. So I really can't tell you what his next career move, because his team, like Freddie Roach, is like, oh yeah, give us a couple of fights, and after a couple of fights we'll fight Terence Crawford, and like he's saying that, but you're fighting Jeff Horn. So I gotta see it. Seeing is believing. Bob Arum's been trying to make the fight, and it's a possibility that they fight, but I just think they're gonna milk Pacquiao until there's nothing left. And let's say he fought Jeff Horn and looked vulnerable, then they might try to rush and make the fight because they know his time is coming, right? But I just think they're trying to extend and get as many last minute fight dates and paychecks out of Senator/boxer Pacquiao as they can before they cash him in. And John Scully also said that, you know what I mean? It's a matter of time before he loses to a guy like Crawford. So I think they're just trying to extend his stay, make some money with the name, and you know what I mean, before he rides off into his political sunset. Next question, Aaron Wright. What's up, Ego? What is your dream fight for this year? And can you do your Kell Brook impersonation realistically? So basically, cracks me up. Dream fights, Wilder Joshua. That's my fight. One of them we're getting, Canelo Golovkin. That was a dream fight I wanted to see. But I would say Wilder Joshua. Just needs no explanation. I think the heavyweight needs another big fight. Like if they can get 2 in like that this year, Joshua Klitschko was epic. People were talking about it. They were talking about it on Fox Undisputed and stuff like that. And they're like, no, that was a good fight. Sharp and Skip. So another one. I want another one. You know what I mean? DJ Khaled, another one. Because the heavyweight division needs to come back. And it has been coming back. But I'm saying those high profile fights, that's what gets people talking. You know what I mean? Not saying the lower divisions don't, but the lower divisions, in addition to heavyweight divisions, boxing will be really strong. Next question to Master GX. Ego, do you believe Chavez Jr. when he said he got roofied? I mean, I really don't know. I don't care. I mean, he's safe. He's back with his family. So I really don't know. I can't really call it. I don't know what he was talking about. I don't know why all them people are in his room. So it's all speculation. I'm glad he's safe. Glad his family is safe. As far as the money and the jewels, I don't know. File a police report. I really don't feel like talking about Chavez Jr., to be honest. Just because it's like, I don't even know if he's serious about boxing. So, next question, Chill BL. A happy birthday shout out from Ego would be super lit. Well, you got it. Happy birthday, Chill BL. Hope you enjoy your day. Spend time with the family. I don't know exactly what date, but shout out to the Taurus. I think my dad's birthday's coming up, so if your birthday's coming up soon, you should be a Taurus too. Next question, D Bevel the Champ. Keep up the great work, Ego. You were born ready. Canelo voice. Wow. Question 1. I know you're a Tyson fan, as am I, but do you think Mike Tyson is wrong for usually criticizing his fellow American and Deontay Wilder instead of giving him tips on how to be greater in the ring? Question 2. Is Miguel Cotto a potential candidate for the Eagle Valley hit list? Yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting for that Kamagai fight to formally be announced to see if it is him. And then you probably will get an Eagle Valley video, because that losing to a guy that Robert Guerrero beat at welterweight in 2014, it's not a good look for the legend. And Cotto has a very deep resume, and I respect Cotto, but it's not a fight I'm a fan of. And he's clearly taking that Rock Nation money, and he's robbing the bank with these fights. His only tough fight was really Canelo. You know what I mean? Sergio Martinez, he was with Top Rank for that, so that wasn't even part of the Rock Nation thing. He was Cotto Promotions and Top Rank. So since he's been with Rock Nation, his only tough fight was Canelo. And then Daniel Ggg'S and Kamagai. It was supposed to be Kirkland. Get out of here. Yeah, part 1 of your question. Yeah, I'm just going to be real. Mike Tyson is my favorite fighter of all time, but it doesn't matter who I favor. It doesn't mean I agree with everything they do. You know, I don't even agree with everybody in my family. I love my family, but it doesn't mean you have to agree with someone nonstop. And that's what's wrong with a lot of boxing fans. If you're a Canelo fan or Golovkin fan, they can do no wrong. I don't live by that code. And I agree. I think Mike Tyson, he comes across as a hater in a lot of instances where he, you know what I mean? Some people even would say he's a coon with what he does and how he acts, and you know what I mean, step and fetch and tap dancing for the man. And that's just my thoughts. I love Tyson, right? You can be like, oh, Tyson will knock you out and all that, but that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And he likes Anthony Joshua a lot, which there's no problem with that. I like Anthony Joshua a lot, but he always, every time he's talked about Wilder, it's like he has a lot of negative energy. I remember he was like, they had him on Showtime, I think, for the Archer Spilka fight, and he was like, I'm not even sure who's Wilder fighting. Spilky. Like, it was like he was purposely trying to mess up the guy's name, called him Spilky or something. So I mean, it is what it is. That's how he feels, but this is how I feel. So that's my opinion. I think it does seem like he has some kind of grudge against Deontay Wilder. Next question, Pablo Alameda. What's up, Ego? With the IBF having a mandatory rehydration clause of 10 pounds, do you think Canelo will honor it, or will he choose to hydrate more just to get an edge on Triple G? He already stated he's not going to fight for the WBC belt, so do you think he'll even want the IBF strap if it's going to have a rule like that? That's a very good question. And I don't know. I mean, that's a coin flip, because at the end of the day, like you said, he might want to just rehydrate, and Canelo, he's headstrong and he's stubborn, and you see it in his beef with WBC right now. He's on a crusade. Like, I don't need the belt. Canelo is at the level, not, understand what I'm saying, he's at the Mayweather Pacquiao level. Not saying he's accomplished what they've accomplished, but he's at that level of stardom where a belt doesn't define him, where if he has a belt or doesn't have a belt, he's still going to be making lucrative paydays. He's still going to be known. He's still going to be putting on some of the biggest events that particular year. That's what I mean. Not saying he has the resume or skill or anything of Mayweather Pacquiao. I'm just talking about he has the aura and the popularity where a belt doesn't define him. Anytime you can fight a guy like Liam Smith and do 50,000 plus people, 51,000 in a venue, you have star power. So he might, like I said, it's a coin flip. He might say, you know what, I don't really care about belts. I don't really want to pay sanctioning fees. I'm a multimillionaire. You know what I mean? So he might not want to. He might want to just come in comfortable. And people might have got the idea from Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs just did that with Golovkin. So Team Canelo, that could be a strategy they implore. Like, you know what? Let us come comfortable. Who cares about that IBF? I don't even think Canelo's ever had the IBF, to be honest. Like, yeah, junior welterweight, I don't think he's ever owned the IBF, so he probably really don't care about it. So it's a coin flip. Him and his team might do it like Jacob's team as a strategy. Very good question. Next question, Franklin Herrera. What up, Ego? Huge fan of your page. Thank you. I check for new videos every day when I wake up. LOL. Keep checking, man. Keep up the great work. Now my question is, in your opinion, do you believe that Canelo is on the right road to becoming the greatest Mexican fighter of all time? If yes or no, please explain. I always have the highest respect for your opinions. Thank you. Hope my question gets picked. Hope to hear from you soon. Peace, brother. Oh, that's a hard question. I can't say the greatest Mexican fight. That's tough, because I when I think of what Mexico has produced, it's very hard to top. Juan Manuel Marquez, Julio César Chavez Sr., not Jr., not Mr. Rufy. Marco Antonio Barrera, the Ricardo Finito Lopez, Eric Morales. So many great, you know what I mean? So many great. Salvador Sanchez is my number one. So I can't say greatest, maybe most popular or one of the most popular. I don't know, because even popularity is kind of hard, because you could say, like, Julio César Chavez Sr. was very popular, and he still is popular, but the business was different. So maybe he didn't do no fucking 10 million live gate and all these numbers and stuff because of what it was back then. But he's the people's champ, and you know what I mean, he's very respected. So it's hard to say the greatest fighter of all time. So I would say no. He definitely has the potential to be one of the greatest that Mexico, but that Mexico, for the size of Mexico, they produce so many great warriors, and it's hard for me to just narrow down and say he's by far the best one. And he lost to Floyd. Maybe if he beat Floyd and beat Golovkin, yeah, but I can't give him that. But I could say he could be one of the greatest. I definitely could see that happening if he continues his career and keeps winning and stuff. Next question, in 33 the money. Yo, Ego, it appears that 130 is heating up. If Tank beats Walsh, what should be his next move? Try to unify or take his time making defenses? I think he should take defenses, fight like Miguel Berchelt, you know what I mean, if he wants to unify. I wouldn't go after Lomachenko straight away. Lomachenko is like the level boss. Like when you're playing a Nintendo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, you know what I mean, or Mario Brothers, and you have to get to King Koopa. King Koopa is the final boss. So I think that Lomachenko is the final boss. So just really anybody but Lomachenko to get your feet wet, live life as a champion, take the proper defenses, big name fights, and like Tevin Farmer. I think that they had a good little war of words or whatever you want to call it. Fights like that. Those are great fights, great learning fights. Because if you can't beat Tevin Farmer, then I don't know if you could beat Lomachenko. That's just what it is. So I think he's just if he beats Walsh, just keep learning, keep fighting. Next question, Georgia Boy Boxing. Okay, Ego, first and foremost, I want to say that I appreciate the channel to keep up the good work. Thank you. This is my question. In your honest opinion, do you truly think Tank is ready for Loma? And I just talked about that. All bullshit to the side, do you think the fight happens? And also, if Canelo beats Triple G and Conor McGregor fight seemingly to be fizzled away, can Alvarez truly bring Floyd out of retirement for a rematch? Damn, that would be epic. Thanks, Ego. I don't know. Floyd's his own boss. He's 40. I really don't see the Canelo rematch. One, the first fight didn't really warrant a rematch. Two, Canelo is going in the opposite direction. Floyd's a tiny dude. You know what I'm saying? I was right next to Floyd at his daughter's birthday party. I've been next to Canelo. Like, he's small. He's a lot smaller. And at age 40, he doesn't get credit for it anyway. You know what I mean? He beat Canelo, beat him, dogged him. And people said it was because he was too young and now rematch him. So, I don't know. I doubt the fight would happen, a rematch, because what weight would they fight at? Can Canelo even make 154, even 155? You know what I mean? And Floyd, Canelo's the A side with anyone but Floyd. So why would Floyd at age 40 give in to what Canelo wants or what benefits him the most, which is to fight at the highest weight possible? We just came down from 164.5. I don't think that's really fair, and I don't think that would happen. You know what I mean? The 26-year-old gets to fight at a weight that he's kind of growing into and has some experience in. But the 40-year-old, the A side, would give into it. That just doesn't make sense to me. And beyond that, Canelo needs to worry about Golovkin. That's the guy in front of you, and that's the true fight that you have to worry about, because Golovkin has the power to hurt you. First part of your question, is Tank ready for Loma? I don't know. It's hard to say, because Tank, I didn't know he was as composed as he was in the Pedraza fight, but Loma's a different level, a different beast. So I would, if I were managing him, I would say keep doing what you're doing, keep winning, and then that fight will be later down the road. That's just me personally. But I will say this, stylistically, Tank Davis has probably the best shot stylistically to beat Lomachenko out of other fights. Guy who's confident, guy who's aggressive, guy who could pile on some pressure, right? And he has power. That is the style that we know has been able to beat Lomachenko in Orlando Salido. So he would have to just make Loma feel the pain early and often. He's younger, he's stronger to me, and that's what it is. So that's actually the surprising thing. I wouldn't say Tank is ready for him at the moment, but at the same time, I will say he has one of the better chances. Guys like Mikey Garcia at 35, and the reason because Mikey Garcia is a methodical fighter, but he also has power, and he's going to have a size advantage, right, and a power advantage. And when you're up against a fighter as skilled as Lomachenko, you need any advantage that you can get. Age, youth, power, speed, anything, any advantage. And the final question, .com show, should Danny Jacobs get the winner of Triple G Canelo? I would love that. I think it'd be rightful. If it's Triple G, then that would be a rematch to a fight that I thought he won, right? And a lot of other people. If it's Canelo, then off of that Triple G performance, he deserves another big fight. You know what I mean? Beat Peter Quillen in one round, and he gave Triple G a fight when people gave him no shot. That's a big fight. I talked to Danny Jacobs not too long ago. Actually, it was like a week or two ago. And he wanted the winner. He said he's definitely down for the winner of Canelo Chavez Jr. So if it's Canelo Triple G, he basically said he wants the winner of the fight, because he said he wants the winner of Canelo Chavez Jr., which was obviously Canelo, and then he said he wants to rematch Golovkin. So since they're fighting each other, then add 2 and 2 together. That means he would fight either one of them, and I think he deserves it. Great fighter. Let me know how you guys think I did this week. I try to get to a lot of questions. Monday Mail Day. We back. We working. 2017. A lot to talk about. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you guys hit the like button. A lot of you guys just like tune in at the gym and stuff, but the likes and the comments and stuff, that's all important. Like, I put a lot of time into the Monday Mail Days, particularly. I give you guys at least an hour of my time usually on most of them, 45 minutes. So make it count. Make the video count. show your love, like, comment, stuff like that. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next videos, egos.